What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the new episode of SarCAST, another pre-recorded episode, obviously. This time with the white hair. See, it doesn't look white during the broadcast, during the MPL broadcast, but it looks white here. It looks very white here. It's semi-wet right now, like the hair, because I just took a shower. So I'm sorry if it looks messy. But yeah, welcome everybody to the new SarCAST episode. This time around, we have a few topics to discuss, especially after week 2 of both MPL ID and MPL Philippines. But yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. If you guys don't know what SarCAST is a podcast. Usually it's live streamed with me and Arashi, but because we're all busy with MPL, I am just trying to fit in as many pre-recorded SarCAST as I can in my schedule, just like this one right here. Currently, it is 9:24 p.m. on the 22nd of August. So if you guys if you guys want to know when it is being recorded, there you go. Without further ado, though, we got a few topics at hand. We're just going to jump straight into it. Number 1, boys and girls. So while I was casting at MPL ID on Saturday, right before the Royal Derby match, I actually got to talk with Mobazane and Fried Chicken. Unfortunately, not with Victor. Unfortunately, I got news from Zane and from Fried that Victor caught COVID, or he's sick. He's not feeling well, so he wasn't able to come, and that's why if you guys follow me on IG and on YouTube, I posted taking a picture with the BTK members, but it was only Flight and Mobazane. A lot of people were like, "Where's Bang Vic? Where's Bang Vic?" There's your answer, all right? There's your answer. The man's sick, right? So get well soon, Victor. Hopefully we get to meet again. I want to take a pic with you. Obviously, I want to have a conversation with you as well. And Zane and Flight, man, if you guys are watching this, my boy, I don't know how to contact you guys. I'm trying to DM you guys, right? But yeah, and also stay a little bit longer at MPL, man. I don't know if you guys were like, you have a curfew or something, but whenever I come out of the town room, you guys are already gone. So like when the day's done. So I don't know. Maybe you can stay a little bit longer next time so we can have like a little chat. But yeah, let's move on to the first topic. While we're talking about NA, while we're talking about Mobazane, Fied, and Victor, let's talk about the new NA M4 qualifier regulation, right? Because apparently I heard this from Zane himself while I was talking with him, and Fight as well. Basically, when I walked up to them, I was like, "Yo, bro, can we take a picture?" Blah blah. And then once we started going to a conversation about ML, about like BTK, about the teams over in NA, they instantly said, quote unquote, Mobazane said, "NA's effed," right? And I was like, well, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?" And they told me about the new regulations that are being set there. Apparently, you have to have either a green card or you have to be a permanent resident in the USA or Canada to be able to participate in the M4 qualifiers. And because of that, a few teams actually won't be able to participate in the M4 qualifiers, like New Wave, I believe. New Wave is a team full of Mexican players, and from the news that I'm hearing and from Zane, from Wide, the thing that's going on right now, and it might still be changed. We don't know yet. Hopefully, maybe they think it over and maybe give the chance over to the Mexicans to play as well, because obviously Mexico is part of North America. It's sad to see because a lot of teams disbanded apparently because of this news. Obviously, the Mexican team, New Wave, they're not Mexican. They're not a Mexican team. They're an NA team, but they're all full of Mexicans, right? The whole team is Mexicans. This is information again from Mobazane and Fied. So they're disbanding, and that's so sad. They're so sad. Seeing so much talent, so much potential go down the drain just because of this rule. I don't know. I really just want to get my voice out there. I really hope they think it over and give the chance for it to be just like, yeah, NA. Mexico's an NA. Let's just, do it. Come on, man. Permanent resident of Mexico, citizens of Mexico, let them play too, because if you guys watch NACT, you guys understand how crazy it is in NA right now. Like, it's getting to a point where they're getting really competitive. It's amazing to see. I got the pleasure to cast actually for NACT, and every single time that I was on casting for NACT, it was a blast because I was surprised. All my predictions were completely wrong about NACT. I expected BTK and Area 77 to go all the way to the grand finals, being the top two teams, but obviously that didn't happen. BTK got knocked out pretty early into the NACT playoff stage, right, the knockout stage, and same goes for Area 77. And the teams that actually made it all the way to the top, right, are these new teams. So again, I just really want to see the progression for the NA teams. It looks like they had a solid path as well. They already had a growing community because the viewership was getting there, right? The viewership wasn't bad for NACT. The viewership was there. The player base, I believe, is also getting bigger and bigger in NA. I've seen a few streams from Zayn, and he has said that, the NA server feels much more competitive than it was last year, right before M3. So with all the tournaments being held, with all the success and all the exposure that the NA scene has been getting, it's a really good time for NA, and I really hope that they can rethink over the rules, the regulation for the M4 qualifiers. That's my take on the whole North America M4 qualifier rules. I don't know though, because I've seen some comments as well. This is why it's still so gray. I've seen some comments. I've seen some videos from Assassin Dave as well. Some comments in the Mobazane clipped videos were like, oh, Mobazane got the wrong information. This is not how it's going to go down. And then when I watched some other clips with Assassin Dave and G the Ico on, they were talking about the same regulations. And so now I'm a bit in a pickle. But if I don't know what it is. I'm still grade 2. I don't have the official papers or anything. I'm just hearing left and right. And I'm just trying to, say right now that I don't think it's going to be a good idea for the M4 qualifiers to be regulated that way. I think all the teams especially the teams that participated in NACT that went so far, like New Wave, they should be given a chance to, try to qualify for M4 representing NA. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I think we kept on, circling on those topics because again, it's just such a it's a weird topic because I don't know what's actually going on there. I'm just going to give my 2 cents on it. And now it's time to move on to something I do know, which is MPL ID Season 10, which still continues to be the best, the most entertaining, the most competitive season of MPL ID that I've ever casted. Since Season 7, it always has just been going up, right? The level of competition. And I think it's at its all-time peak right now with all the PH imports, with all the PH coaches, and obviously with all the teams just really focusing on trying to get that M4 ticket. But this week in particular is a special week. Week number 2 is where all of the rest of the Filipino imports debuted, right? Week 1, we saw Kyrie, we saw Yeb, obviously. I'm forgetting someone. Kyrie, Yeb, and Baloyski, right? We saw Kyrie, Yeb, Baloyski. Those were the 3 players and coaches, the PH imports that debuted in week 1. But week 2, man, we got Delarski finally showing up, debuting for EVOS and getting that dub 2-0. We got Jana QT or Hades, depending on how you want to call him, if you guys still want to call him by Hades, I don't know. It's Jana now, Jana QT. It's apparently his girlfriend's name, Jana, and the QT is probably just like cutie, right? So it's it's a pretty funny name. Marky as well just debuted, Rendini and Arcadia. So this is a big surprise because I didn't know who BTR's coach was. I thought they were being for real for some time when they announced that Starlest was going to be the coach, right? Yeah, no wonder. All right, so Starlest isn't the main coach. So we were just waiting for the Kitas or the visa, the work visa to be done. And Rendini finally can step on the stage. So far, with Rendini on stage, there hasn't been, BTR hasn't picked up any victories, even with Marky stepping in as well. But I'm already seeing steps towards the right direction here. I really like how Rendini is approaching Bigatron, and I really like the identity that he's trying to shape, for the BTR team. I think this season they might actually be able to surprise a whole lot of us. Coming into the season, as you guys might have known, if you guys have been following me for some time, I am a BTR fan. That BTR has been my favorite team since I started casting in season 7. So I've always been following them. I've always been like, cheering for them, and I've always just DM'd them, the players. They're like, hey, good luck, nice job, etc., etc. I text Age, the coach for BTR from season 7 to 9, a lot of times right after the games. And it's great to see that right now, where Vendini and Marky are heading with BTR is back to season 7, back to that robot efficiency, I like to call it, right? Back in season 7, it was robotic efficiency. They played for objectives entirely, waiting for that late game. It's very Filipino-esque in season 7, and that's why I really like their style of play back in the day, because it just felt like the smart way to play, right? They, however, in season 7 weren't able to capture the title. They were beaten up by EVOS Legends 4-2 in the grand finals. But again, yeah, right now that's how I'm seeing BTR. Like it does seem like they want to recapture the same essence as season 7. And just a fun fact, in season 7, in the start of the season, this is basically like we have a similar performance in the early on in the season. They weren't performing really well, but in the end, in the middle, they regained their composure and their control, and they rose up to 4th place, I believe, in the standings. So good luck to Coach Vrandini and to Marky. Obviously, a first game already taking RRQ to a full 3-game series is very, very impressive. But I want to talk a little bit about Dlarsky, maybe. Yeah, Dlarsky next here. EVOS, the new EVOS that we will be talking about later on. We're focusing on Dlar first because, again, big topic, PH imports, right? Again, Dlar, it feels like he didn't. It feels like the same Dlar. It feels like the same Dlar that I've again had the pleasure of casting, of watching and experiencing since M3. When I watched M3, when I watched Onyx PH play, I was amazed at how they were playing the banana split strategy. The way they just split up the map and they always just look for objectives left and right, suffocating their opponents practically by splitting up the map. That was such a, it was a very entertaining playstyle. And on top of that, it was also a very difficult playstyle to execute. So with Dlar on the EVOS roster right now, I feel like it just fits. I think Dlar fits better in this roster. The thing is, though, right now we've only seen him on Esmeralda and Uranus. I want to see him on other different heroes, right? So we'll just see. That's a big question mark as well right now for Dlar. He is a Uranus god. I'll give him that. He's very, very good on the Uranus, very, very good on the Esmeralda. But I want to see something different. I want to see him on the Paquito, maybe some the killer XP laners, perhaps a Benedetta. We'll see. But his impact is definitely visible on the team. The fact, the way he's able to distract the enemies, it's very M3-esque. It's very Onyx PH Dlar. I'm glad to see that the same Dlar is still here, even in Indonesia, right? With a different team, a different language, a different country. I'm glad to see it. Finally Dlar getting the play time he deserves. Next on the board, we have Jana QT or Hades. First game they had. Okay, so I'll just be frank with you guys. So, I've been hearing a lot of rumors before the season started about the scrims, right? Like the scrims of the teams, and I've actually heard that Geek Fam have been doing well in scrims. But I also heard before the season started that Hades is Jana QT's visa or Kitas wasn't done yet, so that's why I ranked them at 7th place. Yeah, at 7th place in my power rankings because I forgot, was it 7 or 8? I think it was 8 or 7, but still, yeah, no playoffs. That's why I ranked them as no playoffs, as 7th or 8th, because I didn't think that Beloyski could just carry this team alone. I didn't know any of the new players, right? They were MDL players. Some of them literally new rookies, like Chadera. But now with Jana QT, it does really feel like, they're regaining that form perhaps that they had in scrims that was just so powerful, because I've heard rumors again that Geek Fam in scrims were really, really good actually, with Beloy leading the pack and everyone there to follow up, especially with a solid jungler like Jana QT, who is just really, really efficient, I think, right? Like, he didn't really get the chance to perform up against EVOS because it really felt like, yeah, they were. It didn't feel like they had the synergy just yet up against EVOS. But against Rebellion, you could definitely see Janna made a lot of crazy plays, including outplaying Dyron when he was 1 HP with a winner truncheon clutch and like dodging some of the jabs and basic attacking him to death. But yeah, that's what we expect. That's what I expected from Janna heading over to Indonesia, to Geek Fam. That's what I expected. Pure mechanics, pure crazy, just decision making as well. And we're getting that. He's also pretty efficient on that retribution. Finally, though, last but definitely not least, we have Coach Arcadia. Coach Arcadia, man. I thought RRQ was gonna stick with the exact same roster, with the coaches and the analysts being the same two people as well, Fiel and Achil, before the season started, right? Then they obviously revealed Arcadia out of nowhere, by the way. And I was excited. I was really excited. And I've said this time and time again. I think the only thing you can criticize from RRQ in their MSC performance was discipline and perhaps composure, right? When they are behind, when the enemy, where their opponents are leading in the series or leading in the game, it does feel like, they struggle a lot. And they struggle with the problem of ending games too. Like when they're ahead, sometimes they just go for too many fights, right? At MSC. And that ultimately caused them to lose out on the trophy. RRQ Philippines, the more disciplined team, the better team on the day, right? They beat them fair and square, 4-0. And with Arcadia stepping on, I expected discipline to definitely be there, right? For the RRQ team. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing right now. This is no longer the RRQ of MSC 2022. This is another refined version of RRQ, and that's why it's just so surprising and impressive to me. Because let's just go back to season 8. Let's just go back to season 8 first, right? Season 8, it was a very aggressive RRQ, a very skirmish heavy, team fight dependent RRQ Hoshi with Achil at the helms. They weren't able to capture the MPL title. They fell short getting that first runner-up. Onic were the champions of Season 8. They went over to M3 as well, and they got 6-0'd by the Filipino teams, right? In the upper brackets by Onic PH, and knocked out by Blacklist International in the lower brackets. Then, in Season 9, it really did feel like it was a refined version of this RRQ roster, with Fiel at the helms as the main coach, stepping on stage to draft and stuff, and it felt like it was very objective based with this new RRQ. They don't just fight, but they fight. They time it right for the objectives. They try to convert as much as they can on these objectives, not only looking for fights, but there's still glimpses of that old very aggressive style of RRQ from Season 8, right? And obviously then we translated over to MSC, getting all the way to the grand finals, which is very, very incredible progress from losing to both of the Filipino teams in M3 to MSC, getting all the way to the grand finals and even beating their opponents in the grand finals in the upper bracket finals, right? RGPH 3-1. So with the loss, I thought maybe they just fix a few things. Bringing Arcadia, though, is just such a smart move because you can already see it here in Season 10. It really feels like it's a different RRQ. Again, this is going to sound repetitive, but it feels like a refined version of RRQ. Another puzzle, another piece of the puzzle here for RRQ Hoshi. As, even when they're behind, even when their opponents are able to take games off of them, they stay calm, they stay composed. And even in these games, if you take a look at the mic checks, if you stay after the highlights, after the game ends, you actually get to hear the mic checks. It's different. It's different, right? Every time they get an objective, go back, reset. When they don't get an objective, they don't force fights. When they don't need to force fights, when they don't need to force objectives, they don't. It's very visible now. And even in the defense, it seems very neat and organized. It's insane that obviously this isn't just Arcadia. Obviously, Achel and Fiel have improved as well after their losses, after the experience through MSC, Season 8, Season 9, and even M3. But with Arcadia as well, these three mines, right, the Hydra mines of RRQ Hoshi, it really feels like it connects, and it really feels like right now they are the team to beat still, the strongest team in Indonesia. And if they stay in form, if they stay with this main lineup as well with Lemon, my goodness, Lemon in the mid lane. I thought he was going to compete with Skylar in the gold lane like an MSC, but him in the mid lane, me and the casters backstage, we've always had like discussions, right? We always have discussions before games, and we've always kind of said that Lemon feels, his big brain, his very instinctual gameplay of Mobile Legends, the way he looks at the game fits better as a mid laner than as a gold laner, right? Because he's an initiator. You can't deny it. Lemon is an initiator. He's an aggressive player, and he can make those plays happen if he's on the right heroes, if he's on the right role. And as a gold laner, I just don't see that happening, right? Maybe back in the day when it was fighters in the gold lane, like Lapu. But now, with the marksman, you can't really be the initiator when you're a marksman. So him stepping into the mid lane, oh my god, his Valentina. I think his Valentina might be the best right now in Indonesia too. He's so flexible with it. Like, oh my god, he's really flexible with it. He always takes ults. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, here. If you take a look at most Valentinas in MPL ID, they take ults way before a fight, right? Like, they already know. If there's a Faramis on the enemy team, we take a Faramis. If there's a good ult, like let's say a heavy spin there, I'm only going to be taking the heavy spin. But Lemon, he is the only one who's made different ultimates, and even ultimates that I feel like, don't work, not specifically like a good ultimate, he makes it work. Like in the moment against Onyx, he took the holy baptism from Rafaela, and I said it during the play-by-play. Like when he was walking up to the Lord, I was like, this is interesting. Lemon went for the holy baptism instead of a heavy spin, and I don't know about this. And right as I say that, he flickers in, terrifies CW, puts him in that holy baptism stun, and it almost takes him down. CW had to flicker out with everyone because they had to protect their gold laner, and it's a free Lord for RRQ. Those little plays that add up all in the end, man. And the thing is, his Yve as well is just so different from the other players. He's so, what's the word? He's so generous with his ultimate, right? He's definitely not stingy at all with his ultimate. Every time I look at Lemon's the green bar to indicate whether he has his ultimate or not, it's like 80% not there. He's always using that ultimate to create pressure, and he's utilizing that cooldown, that ability so well. That's something I think that's special, like, how are you that efficient with spamming your ultimate? It's a big ultimate. If you misuse it once and it's on cooldown right before a fight, it's a big risk. But Lemon makes it happen, man. And I'm just so excited to see. And now RRQ have such a disgusting roster, right? Like, they have a substitute for the mid lane, and technically Lemon can still go to the gold lane. So it's just so flexible for them. And even in MSC, I said this on backstage. I didn't reveal it, obviously, in the vlogs, but Naisu and the other casters, Aeterna, can confirm it for me. I said that after the 3-0, when RRQ Philippines were leading 3-0, I think it would have been a good idea to swap in Lemon. Nothing to lose anyways. They're 3-0 down. Put in Lemon, because he's always been an X factor. He's always been a big game player, right? Like, he steps up when it matters. He makes those plays happen that turn the game around. But yeah, in the end, Lemon didn't get the play in the grand finals. He gets to play in season 10. So far, it's been great as a mid laner. While we're speaking about RRQ, though, we got to talk about Blacklist too. Still number one in the standings, exactly like RRQ. Undefeated as well. They have dropped some games, but they've been looking dominant. They've adapted to every single team they've faced. And, whenever I talk about Blacklist, there's just not much to talk about now because that's it. Blacklist, they're good. They're really good. And they're so good to a point where you start to like blank out when you're talking about them because you don't know what to talk about. Everything you try to talk about Blacklist, just everyone said it. Everyone said that opinion. They're good. They're smart. They're intelligent. They have the best shot caller in MLBB currently. Venus leading the pack with Wise. They have a very good gold laner, XP laner, Haji as well, mid lane. But I do have to say something about the Philippines, right? Blacklist, that's all I have to say. They're still it's Blacklist. I think everyone's come to expect this kind of Blacklist, right? This performance as well. Everyone has come to expect it with their new roster, with their old roster coming back in Season 10. But I have to say this. Omega are looking very, very strong. And Echo too. See, so my standings, my power rankings for MPL PH, sometimes it's wrong, sometimes there's a little bit of truth in it, right? I put Echo up there, and Echo are performing really well. Omega, though, I was kind of wrong about it because they have been phenomenal. Their performances and the roster swaps as well. They had Itomax playing and they had QVJ swapping in. It's really just enjoyable to watch MPL Philippines, MPL Indonesia as well. It's very competitive in every single league, except for the number one, right? Number one, I think most people predicted MPLID RRQ to be number one, MPL PH Blacklist to be number one, and that's the only thing that doesn't change. But even RRQ Philippines lost to Onyx Philippines, which was a big surprise, right? A team full of rookies up against the Southeast Asian champions, the MSC champions. And I don't know, is this the international tournament curse? Is this what happens when you win an international tournament? Do you lose the hunger of competing? Like so many others before, right? That's something that has constantly happened. So far, not yet to Blacklist International, but we'll see, right? Next, though, I do have a very interesting topic to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that has recently been, this has been a problem for ages, I think. But I just really want to get my opinion out there about this topic, right? It's about caster bias. And how does it work? How does a biased caster work, right? Let's talk about this. Casters being biased. Casters getting hate in the comments for being biased, right? Maybe for hyping up a team and not hyping up another. There's so many factors when it comes down to casting in play-by-play as well. But I will start with this first. Every caster, whether you like it or not, will have a favorite team. We're all humans, right? There's always going to be a team that you just like to see, you know? Like, for an example, I'm a caster in MPLID and M3 as well. My heart will always be during international tournaments with Indonesian teams. And that's just like because of me being like, I want to support the teams from my country, obviously, right? And in MPLID, there's always got to be a special team in my heart. Just like, that's why I'm wearing this shirt, right? That's why I'm wearing this jersey, because I'm a Liverpool fan too, when it comes to football. But when it comes down to in-game and when we do play-by-play, we don't actually take that biasness over, There's a difference, and that's called professionalism. It shows too, because I'm a BTR fanboy, right? I have their jersey. I DM them on IG. I congratulate them every single time they win. And during the RRQ versus BTR match on Sunday, the chat was full of people saying, Mirko biased to RRQ. Mirko, why are you so quiet? Is it because RRQ is losing? And while I was casting, I always have the chat on. And I sometimes glance at it, right? Because reading live chat helps me during the cast, especially when I'm doing color. Because there are some moments that me and the other casters miss while we're watching the game. And after a big play, a big team fight happens, looking at the chat gives me another insight, the point of view of the people watching, right? Most of the times there's nothing there, there's nothing to add, but sometimes there is that little thing that the audience catches that I don't, that I incorporate and implement into the cast. But yeah, I read the comments and I was just like, wow. If they think I am biased towards RRQ, then I'm doing my job right. Like, I am not being biased to my favorite team. I'm trying my best not to be biased to anyone. And you guys gotta understand that also during the cast, right? Sometimes it may feel biased. Why? Because of the different hype levels. Now, when we're talking about hype levels, as a caster, I'm trying to explain it to you guys who are viewers, right? Because for casters, there's always gonna be a subjective level of how to hype things up. Now, every caster hypes things up differently, right? My hype is different from Eterna's hype when she's doing play-by-play. My hype is different from Gani's hype when we're doing play-by-play. When we get hype and which moments we get hype for. Is it a comeback? Is it a team being proactive, making the plays happen on the map, forcing the enemy team to make mistakes? Is it a big 5v5 team fight? Is it a defense? These little things, right? And if the game goes slow, we have to slow that tempo down too. If the game is slow, if there are no kills on the board, which is what happened during the BTR match against RRQ, we're going to have to take it slow too. That's why maybe some of the people in the chat were like, oh, why are they so quiet? It's because the game was very, very slow. It was a 29-minute game with minimal kills, very objective based. If we kept on going at 100 miles per hour with that kind of game duration, firstly, we would get tired. Secondly, it doesn't match, it doesn't synchronize with the game that's being displayed. If I shout and scream and yell and speak super fast when there's nothing happening, it's just annoying, right? So yeah, maybe that might be the reason as to why people were calling us biased, because again, RRQ were pushing the pace a lot in that game. They had the early lead. So when they made plays, we went hype. And when BTR came back, we went hype too. But there was a lot of downtime right after the BTR fight that they won. So maybe because of that, everyone was like, oh, they're quiet because RRQ isn't winning. But in reality, we were taking the tempo slowly because just nothing was happening on the map. We need to dissect exactly what's going on, big picture, right? We can't just be doing play-by-play the entire game. And speaking of this caster bias thing, this brings me to a very interesting topic. Let's put MSC. Let's talk about MSC, right? The grand finals of MSC, I think, was the three casters they chose nationality-wise was really good by Moonton, the selection, because it was Naisu, Gideon, and me, right? So it was one Indonesian, one Malaysian, and one Filipino. And in the grand finals, we all know that it was a Filipino team versus an Indonesian team. So the way we also kind of shaped it up in that grand finals on the caster desk was Gideon's going to be in the middle. I'm going to be play-by-play. So Gideon's going to be the anchor. He's going to be the middle. He's going to be the middleman between two of us, right? Indonesia versus Naisu, Philippines. And that's where we could actually be biased. That's where we can actually, have some banter before the game, post-match, to create drama, to create tension, and to create, obviously, a story that's interesting, right? And that's what we were going at. That's what we were going for before the match. That's why we had Gideon in the middle, and it fit in perfectly, in my opinion. I was like, oh yeah, Viva RRQ, blah, blah, blah. Nice was like, yeah, RSG Philippines, because obviously from Philippines, from Indonesia. And Gideon's just in the middle saying like, okay, guys, both of you guys are right. We'll see who the best team is today, blah, 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 blah. Just being the middleman. And you see how that works? If one is biased towards Indo, one is biased towards Philippines, it meets up in the middle, and it comes down as like fun, right? If both of the casters or all three of the casters are fully focusing on Indonesia, fully focusing on Philippines, then that is the bad style of bias. That's bad bias. Because also, when we were casting and when we were trying to do that bias bit, right? The bias bit and the banter bit, me and Naisu, we only did that before the match started. Once the game starts, once we hit that draft fully, we flip a switch and we turn on that professionalism. we hype up the moments that are worthy of being hyped up. We don't hype up the moments that only our team, when our team does something good. No, that's not how it works for us. And that's why if you take a look again at the MSC Grand Finals, I hyped up way more RSG moments because RSG completely 4-0'd RRQ. It didn't show there. But still, even then, while RSG was getting all the spotlight because they were obviously just winning, us as casters, we can't just be totally like, oh yeah, RSG are stomping RRQ and RRQ have no chance at all to win. We can't do that. We have to be talking as well. When RSG is winning, when they won a team fight, we give them props and then we talk about RRQ. How can they come back in the game? Us as casters, we're here to educate you guys too, right? Like, how is it possible for this composition that RRQ has picked to win against the RSG Philippine composition that's winning currently? So because we were talking a whole lot about that and of how they can come back, I cannot believe it, guys. And you guys probably won't believe it too. But if you guys go over to the MSC Grand Finals live stream, English, and you hover over the live chat, if you watch the live chat again, just watch a few matches, watch a few games in that Grand Finals. Some people were calling Naisu biased towards RRQ. You see what I'm trying to say now? Like, sometimes it's just really sus. But that's what I'm just trying to give you guys, right? My opinion on what's going on, of how biasness really works as casters, and maybe just kind of proof that the comment section sometimes don't know what they're talking about, right? Like, clearly when you're it's still baffling to me. Like, when you're saying Naisu is biased towards RRQ as a Filipino and as a complete RSG fanboy, then you clearly, it's weird, right? And even in the BTR match against RRQ, it's like Mirko biased towards RRQ. Yeah, it's the same thing, and I just really wanna address that. Obviously, it's not gonna change anything. People are gonna keep on hating, and it's completely fine. It's their opinion. If they think I'm biased, go ahead. As long as you click on my videos and give me exposure and put hates on my comments, so I get like ad revenue, it's completely fine. Anyways, though, let's move on over to the final topic, and this is This is a very interesting topic too. I want to end it on this one because it was such a feel-good moment. This was so good to see for me. And this topic is about the new EVOS roster, mainly about Clover. EVOS have revamped their roster almost completely now that they've put Fairsick down to the MDL, right? They farewelled Anti-Mage, LJ, the three last World members. World is the M1 World Championship roster that they had. The World roster is completely out of EVOS Legends, the MPL team. So with this new era of EVOS, there was a lot of hate. There was a lot of doubts. With their first win in MPLID, the hate started to, kind of slow down. Then, when they lost, the hate rose up again, right? Everyone was like, the heck, this team is so bad, blah, 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 blah. But that's just normal hate. Then, the EVOS Legends management decided to send Fairsick and Bajan down to the MDL, promoting Sutsujin and Dreams to the MPL. When this happened, one member in particular got the most amount of hate. Two members got a lot of hate, Pendragon and Clover, but Clover got way more hate and way, way more, like, just, oh my god, hateful comments, very hurting, a lot of videos, calling him names, calling him Mbappe, because they were like, yeah, Clover definitely has something, he has something on the EVOS management. That's why he's not being sent to the MDL. That's why Brands isn't stepping up, because he's bad. He's garbage. Why isn't he in the MDL? That was basically what the netizens were saying, and I'm not even joking. Every time I scroll on TikTok, my algorithm is heavily on MLBB. When I'm scrolling on TikTok, I just see hate posts over to Clover. Everyone calling him bad. Everyone replaying and showing his clip of showing his mistakes during MPL. And man, this week against GeekFam, he really silenced the doubters, man. He silenced the haters with his performance, especially on the 1-1. On the Beatrix, he was again good. He was consistent. It was a good Beatrix performance, but on the 1-1, you could, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I could tell, like he was being quiet as well. If you take a look at the player tunnel, like when he was walking, usually he's all smiles, guys. This guy rarely ever shows a sad face or shows like an emotionless face. And in this game, when they were walking out with Blar as well, Blar was smiling, everyone else was smiling, but Clover, it really seemed like he was ready to prove everyone wrong, and he did, and that's why I highlighted Clover right as the game ended. Game number 2, once it ended, I think the ending line was Clover proving the doubters wrong, getting almost a maniac with the 1-1 2v4, right? And it was just such a feel good moment for me, because it's these moments that I want to see in esports, right? When everyone's beating him down, everyone's shitting on him, everyone's just hating on him, and he proves everyone wrong, and he gets the victory on the 1-1, his signature pick, absolutely just destroying, obliterating everyone in that final fight in a 2v4. Him and Dlar versus the entirety of GeekFam. So, yeah, I don't know what to say, man. The player hate, sometimes it really has a bad impact on players, but for players like Clover, it feels like a buff. You hate on him, he's going to show you. He's going to show you, and he's going to prove you wrong, right? And I hope this form of his continues. I hope he keeps on proving these players and these haters wrong, because I love to see it. I love to see it. That's it. Yeah, I guess that's gonna round up the episode here for SarCAST, the second ever pre-recorded SarCAST. And that's it, guys. Leave obviously your comments and your opinions down in the chat. I would love to see your comments. I try my best to read every single one, and I would love to, I try to reply as well to every single one. So please do leave a comment down below, and I would love to, just see your opinions on it. Give me different opinions as well. You don't necessarily have to agree with me. You can have different opinions on every single one of the topics that we've talked about, and we could just have a fun little discussion in the comment section. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We've just hit 15,000 subscribers, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am. Man, it's amazing, the growth that I've been seeing on my channel with all of you guys, the support that's coming through. I love you guys so much, man. Thank you. Please do leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Give me your opinion on the comments. Subscribe, and don't forget to stay. I don't know. I don't have a catchphrase yet. To stay. Don't forget to stay. All right. See you, boys.